And here's our guest. You're on Visual Radio.
Hi, how are you?
Alison Gaylin, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing, Joe?
Good. Say hi to my co-host, Richie Sarno.
Hi, Richie. How are
you?
you?
Allison? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
I love the smell of books, and I'm enamored of And She Was. I'm just flipping the pages.
It's a good smelling book.
It is.
I was hoping that it would smell good, and Harper puts out good smelling books, so.
I love the cover.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
I really do.
Good.
It. I think it's I have 4 other books out, and it's my favorite cover of any books that I've ever had come out. And I'm not just saying that to kiss up to my publisher, although it doesn't hurt. So.
Well, see, I said it first, so that legitimizes it.
It does, exactly.
It's the tone of the silver. I love trees, and you get the tree imprints, and the woman or the girl, and then just the red, like your lettering of your. It's just perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I really do.
So, let's go back to your very first book before we get to And She Was.
Okay.
Because we do something with our rock stars called The Demo That Got the Deal, Allison. How did you get your very first deal, and what book was it?
Okay, my very first deal was for a book called Hide Your Eyes. I started writing that book a long time ago. I wrote a first draft of it. I got as far as getting an agent, but it didn't sell, and I realized at that point that I had to probably read a few mysteries before I wrote a good mystery book. So I, spent another 5 years living as well, not just writing. Read a whole bunch of mysteries, rewrote the book from page 1, got another agent, and sold it to NAL, which is a division of Penguin. And that book came out in 2005, and I was really excited because, like And She Was, it was a paperback original, but it got nominated for an Edgar Award as Best First Novel. So I was very excited about that.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was sort of a long time coming, but then when it happened, it was really rewarding and nice.
Now, where are the Edgars given out?
In New York City.
Okay.
They're always given out in New York, and this was 2006, and it's been given out there, but it was at the Sheridan Grand, and nice chicken dinner and everything too for your money. So there you go.
Have you ever heard of the ReaderCon?
The ReaderCon? No, I haven't.
The ReaderCon's about 20 years old. It's right here in Burlington at the Marriott.
Mm-hmm.
Every June, so you can Google it, ReaderCon.
I will.
I think it's perfect for you because there's just tons of authors. And, my parents would come up from Florida and be at the Marriott, and I'd see all these book people around saying, how did I miss this?
Uh-huh. Is it all different types of books?
It's basically fantasy and suspense, but I think you fall into there,
Oh, definitely. There is a mystery writers convention that's huge called BoucherCon, and that's in a different city every year. And that's really cool because lots and lots of readers go, lots of booksellers, and you get to meet all these people, and every author from the most best-selling authors to the most brand-new authors show up at this thing, and it's great. Whatever hotel it is, though, is sort of tortured because the bar is always packed. So.
Well, this is always at the Burlington Marriott, and it's just this big cult thing, which came out of the Northeast Con and all the science fiction conventions.
Oh, I will have to remember that.
Well, we're going to get back to you, but I went over there to videotape 3 years ago. Turns out that 3 of the people that built the thing were friends of mine from the rock and roll days in the Rathskeller nightclub.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe it, including Eric Van, whose birthday's the same as mine. It was just these old dear friends of mine had built this ReaderCon, and I had no idea.
And you just had shown up, and then you saw them there. That's really...
Well, my folks were staying there. Because my folks come up from Florida and I'm hanging out with them, I would not have known. So it's very big, but it's the inner circle of readers, they've got that core audience.
Right. Oh, that sounds great. That's terrific. What an interesting thing, though, how fate kind of brought you guys together after all these years.
It's really funny. So now everyone's on Facebook, of course, and I did a lot of video, and it's just fun having all the authors in the room. But it's fun having you on the phone, too. So I noticed that you've got Hide Your Eyes on Kindle now.
Yes.
So Kindle's a whole new world. How do you feel about I said I love the smell of the book.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Kindle? Do you like it?
Well, Kindle doesn't smell as good as books, but no, I think, I honestly think any new technology that enables more people to read is great. And as far as Kindle goes, there are a lot of authors out there that are, and I know a lot of them that are friends that are not traditionally published, but are doing great through just publishing through Kindle. And, I think there's sort of room for everybody. One of the great things about my book that isn't all my publisher is that it's a pretty low price on Kindle. I mean, I think some of the problems that some books run into is that buying a Kindle is as expensive as the hardcover, so that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, I wonder what Vincent Bugliosi's, he's got a book on JFK, which is like thousands of pages.
Yes, I know that book very well because Edgar Award, and I was on the committee that actually chose that. But boy, yeah, that's a big handful. And
is that on Kindle, do you think?
I don't know whether that's on Kindle or not, and I don't know. I mean, I imagine the price might very well be the same. So that makes it kind of hard. My book is really cheap in paperback, and it's also the same low price in Kindle. So I think in terms of that, it's a good deal. It's just a matter of setting the prices properly. It's sort of like when the music industry went through,
Yeah, with these downloads and everything.
Exactly. It's a matter of an adjustment, but I think it's ultimately a good thing.
Now, I bring up, Bugliosi's been on my show twice by phone.
Wow. Yeah, actually, Helter Skelter, I read that book in the 5th grade, and it was a book that really encouraged me to get into writing crime fiction. So he's definitely somebody I really admire.
Do you realize he doesn't use a computer? He walks around with a legal pad.
Really? Oh, boy.
And he has his assistant type it all up.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. I can't write longhand. I can't even read my own handwriting, so that's really impressive.
You got this major prosecutor that, I guess that was what he did for work.
Right. That's why they call them legal pads, I guess.
Berkeley Prime Crime. What is that? Obsidian Mysteries.
That was, okay, those were my old books were on that, and that's a division of Penguin.
Oh, okay, so your old books, is this your first for Harper?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I like the Penguin people, too. They're nice.
Yep, they are. They were really nice people to work with as well.
So you had 1, 2, 3... Oh, no, you had 4 out, right, before this?
Mm-hmm.
With Penguin, and this is your 5th.
This is my 5th book, yes.
How do you write so much in 1 year?
Oh, I didn't write all of them in a year.
Because 2005 and now it's 2012.
Yeah, it might feel like a year sometimes, but no, it's been a few years. And in fact, I finished And She Was a couple of years ago, but it took a while to actually, for the pub date to actually come around. So I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so I'm glad that it's finally out.
Now, it looks like it lends itself perfectly to film. Is there a thread between your previous books at all?
No, they're really. You mean with And She Was and the books
right
before it? No, And She Was is actually the first in a brand new series. My first 2 books were kind of a series. It was a book and a sequel, and then I had 2 standalones, and then this is the first in a new series featuring Brenna Spector, who is a private investigator who is blessed and cursed with perfect memory. She's got something called hypersomnistic syndrome, which is an actual real condition, and it enables you or curses you to remember every single day of your life in perfect visceral detail. And I read an article about this a few years ago, and it really intrigued me, and I imagine that the producers of the show Unforgettable read the same article, but they don't have anything to do with each other, but they both do have the same syndrome.
It is a great premise for a book.
Well, thank you. I thought so too, because something that really interested me about it was not just the ability to remember, which is great from just a plotting point of view as far as, writing a mystery goes. A private investigator with perfect memory, what could be better, right? But the inability to forget, and I think that's the tragedy of this character. You can never let go. You can never move on. How can you forgive and forget when you can never forget? So that, to me, lent a lot of pathos and emotional depth to the character that, something I really like to work with, and I think it's something that people have responded to pretty positively. So.
But if I won $40 million tonight in the lottery, it's a moment I'd like to remember perpetually.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's true. But what if you bought it and lost it? You remember that perpetually, too.
Well, then you just make sure that you remember everything, and you better not create a memory you don't want.
Right. See? No, there's not that control. So it's just kind of interesting. It's interesting to work with. It's hard to work with as a writer because, I don't have a perfect memory, so it entails a lot of rewriting and everything to make sure I get all the facts and the timeline right, stuff like that.
Well, that's what's interesting here is I believe that the human race, our only function in the universe is that we're so ignorant we're the most compelling race to watch. And so I think all the other species just love watching us be inept.
I think, you know what, and there's definitely something to be said for, entertaining ineptitude.
So when I say that, it's like when people commit crimes, and then you have to go by other people's memories, it's very hard to get that person like your private investigator that has that magnetic memory.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's part of what makes life frustrating, because sometimes the bad guys can rely on everyone else's forgetfulness.
Yes, memory is extremely subjective, and her memory, but equally experience is subjective too. So, whereas she would remember something perfectly, she's not a computer. So, like, for instance, say she is looking at a page in the phone book. It doesn't stand to reason that she would be able to remember every single name in that phone book unless she's really focusing and concentrating on them at the time. If she's looking at the phone book and thinking about what she's going to be eating for lunch, she will forever remember looking at the phone book and thinking what she's going to be eating for lunch.
Whoa.
Am I hurting your brain at this point? Do you know what I'm saying? It's subjective. It's perfect autobiographical memory, but not perfect memory. So.
Does she read the dictionary?
Yeah. Does she read the dictionary?
Sure.
She doesn't, but that could be something that she might be interested in doing at some point,
And who knows what record is playing while she's reading?
Right, she would remember what she was listening to, what she felt, what emotions she was experiencing, what she'd eaten for dinner, everything.
Now, here's where you suspend reality for a second. And She Was becomes a big film. You have a participation in the soundtrack. What would be 3 or 4 songs that you would demand as author in your soundtrack?
In the soundtrack for that film?
Yes.
Well, of course, And She Was by the Talking Heads. That's sort of a given, right?
It was right in my head when I saw the PR. So.
Yes, exactly. I like to name my books after earworms. No, actually, this is the first time I ever did that. But yes, definitely And She Was. A couple of other, actually, songs definitely sort of play a role in the book. I'm a huge music fan, and I'm a big pop culture fan, so whereas some authors really shy away of putting that type of thing in their books for fear of it being dated in some way, I sort of embrace it. So definitely And She Was. There's a scene in the book where she and her teenage daughter are listening to Rachel Yamagata, a song called Baby Your Love. I'd probably put that in there. And then there's also mention of the REM song Ebo the Letter. I think in there too. Let's see, what else? Oh boy, I could go on all night.
But isn't this fun? It's not your usual interview here.
No, I love it. It's great. I love talking about soundtracks. I think me being a musical director for a movie would be one of the greatest jobs ever, personally.
But you've got a leg up on it because you're a published author, so now you can just throw that around and say, I want to do this for this movie.
See, that's why I like to put all the songs in the books. It's like being my own musical director,
Did you like Oliver Stone's sequel to Wall Street?
But you know what? I didn't see it.
Okay, so they used the Talking Heads in that, and I think they did in the first one too, maybe.
Did they?
Yes, so Oliver Stone likes the Talking Heads, so it's good for you to maybe get the DVD.
Right? Oh, I will, definitely. Yeah, just for the soundtrack alone, absolutely.
Yeah, and just because, that might, now we know that And She Was becomes a movie, the Talking Heads are probably going to be happy.
Right, I would hope so. Exactly. I know, it was funny because, this is a series, so I'm thinking, should I name all the books after Talking Heads songs? Is David Byrne going to sue me or become some stalker? I think maybe the next one will be, either a different song lyric or not a song lyric or something, just to mix it up a little bit,
At one point, he was writing one-word songs. They were one-word titles.
Oh, yeah?
It's like a whole album of his. Sure, you can go through his catalog, and it's ridiculous.
Right.
I just remember that about him. I forget the Red Album, maybe. I forget. There's so much. At my age, it's just, I got Bluesheimers. But any of you have an agent, right?
Yes.
Okay, does your agent take your old titles and try to get it to film?
My agent will work with film agents, and, there's always, like, irons in the fire, but nothing's actually come through yet. So if there are any film people out there listening, no, I'm just kidding. But it really, that's every author's dream, is to have their book made into a movie, because there's something about seeing everything you wrote up there in, 3 dimensions, or, that really... It's exciting. It's like taking that creativity one step further.
I think it was HarperCollins that sent me Dennis Lehane, and he hadn't had a movie out yet.
Oh, boy. Mystic River is one of my favorite books ever. He's just such a brilliant writer. But
1999, and they said to me, this guy's going to be huge. So we had a fun interview. It was, 13 years ago? Oh, my God, I can't believe it.
It's hard to believe.
So in 13 years, you'll have 10
Mystic
movies
River
out.
that they sent you? Or
No,
what?
they sent me, I kind of remember 13 years back. I have to play the old video, which we're doing. We upload stuff to YouTube, but I have like 650 hours.
Wow.
It's absurd. Jennifer Weiner with In Her Shoes. She was on in 2002, October. The movie came out 2005. I love that movie.
Right, yeah. Oh, that must have been so much fun, too, after talking to her about the book and then seeing it on
Yes,
the screen.
because like you, she's so nice. And it was like, you felt like, and then you're watching the movie. There she is, the cameo, the Alfred Hitchcock. She's walking down the street, right?
Oh, that's awesome. That's even better. To me, that's the ultimate experience. Not only is your book made into a movie, but then you get to do a cameo in it. That's just perfection right there.
Now, will you be touring with the book?
I've done a few appearances so far, not really an official tour. I was in New York City at the Mysterious Bookshop. I'm going to be at Barnes & Noble in Kingston, New York over the weekend. I have a seminar that I'm teaching in Hunter Mountain in New York on April 28th. And then on April 3rd, I'm going to be in New York City on a panel of other writers, just sort of discussing how we get our ideas at the New York Public Library at 6:30. So that should be fun. But no, major official dates right now.
Yeah, look up ReaderCon, because I think Harper should send you over to that. It's so much fun.
Oh, I would love it. I'll talk to them about it.
Yeah, because there's so many other writers there, but then there's the people. You've got to come this year if you haven't been yet.
Okay, I haven't
Oh,
been
no, I
yet.
haven't. It sounds great.
And I'm talking to Richie, too. Richie lives in the backyard. You live in
I
Burlington,
live
right?
in Burlington, yeah.
And did you know it was there?
I did know it was there, I just never made it over.
Oh, it is fun. It is. You just can't, because there's books everywhere. They're selling books. They have authors in different rooms for an hour reading from their book.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow, that sounds great.
4 or 5
Most
rooms
authors
of it.
that you talk to like to read their stuff aloud, or have you asked that question before? Because some authors hate to read their stuff aloud. I kind of enjoy it, actually, but.
Oh, you can feel free to read a couple of pages
Oh,
for
no,
us.
no. Believe me, that wasn't hinting. I was just curious.
Oh, I do that on the show. That's a component of the show. How you got your deal.
Right, and will you read a few pages? I don't even have a book with me right now. I don't think I have one.
So-
You could read for me. That would be great.
I've done that before, but I'm not going to do it now.
Oh,
It would be
darn it.
rude to Richie. How did the Harper deal come about after Penguin?
Well, let's see what happened. Actually, it's kind of interesting because I sold to Harper a proposal for this book, so I didn't have a manuscript written yet. I just had this idea with a pretty detailed outline, and I spoke to my editor there, who's great. Her name's Lissa Kirsch, and I came up with a whole outline, synopsis, everything, gave it to my agent, and then my agent gave it to HarperCollins, and they were interested in it, and we met a few times, and so I sold the idea, and then I took a year and wrote the book after that.
I think Noah Boyd is on Harper, and he has a series now of a detective, very fun man. He lives up in New Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
I like when you authors do series, because once you're into it, you don't want it to end.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's like writing a series is sort of like having a friend that you get to know better and better as it goes along. You don't have to tell everything about this character because you know they're going to be back, And I feel like authors who write long-running series, their characters sort of grow and age and develop and change along with them. So that's a nice thing, too.
It's It's like for the grown-ups, the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew
Yeah.
as we get older.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Your website is AlisonGaylin.com.
That's right. Uh-huh.
One L, people, ALISONGAYLIN.com, and she was. If you come up to Boston, we'd love to have you in the studio in person.
I would love that.
We're right 4.5, 5 miles out of Boston. It's and all the publishers know where we are.
Terrific. Yeah, I love Boston. My dad was from Boston. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Hmm?
And have you been in New York all your life?
No, I haven't. I was born in New Haven, Connecticut, moved out to Los Angeles area when I was about 4 with my parents, and lived there. Then went to college in the Midwest and went back out to New York City to go to graduate school and sort of stayed there ever since.
And we've got a bunch of things to do tonight. I have a film director coming, calling a film biographer, calling in.
Great.
But I want to ask you if you're working busily on the next 2.
Yes, I am. I'm working on the next one right now, and then after that I'll work on the one afterwards. But yes, I have 2 more books coming out for sure, and hopefully a few more.
So you have this thread going, and if you get inspired with an idea for the second book, but then you feel it should go into the third, is that what happens?
Yes. I actually have an idea for the third book, and it's not going to fit into the second book. So yes, definitely.
Alison, that is so cool. I'm so happy you had time tonight.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much for talking to me. This is great.
I knew it was short notice, but I really appreciate you. And one other thing. I got a huge package in the mail when I got this.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild.
The milk carton?
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty awesome, right? I have no control over that, and I was just amazed that they did that for me. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the old days of record promotion. It was this big, huge package I got from FedEx or something. And there's a milk carton with a book in it.
I know, it's great. And it has the character on the side, the missing child from the beginning of the book, who's a character, and it's not insensitive because it's a character in a book. So just to make that clear. And then there are, there's all sorts of like promotional material on the side of it. It says enormous milk carton. It's pretty interesting.
And do you know who created that?
It's the sales department at HarperCollins came up with it, and my editor told me that they were doing that, and I'm like, wow, that sounds interesting. And
No, it got my attention. So here we are, and she was.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne of the Talking Heads.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you, Alison, for being on Visual Radio tonight.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was great meeting you guys.
And like I said, come to Boston, and you're welcome to come back.
Oh, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Is that fun?
It was fun, yes.
This is what I do.
I'm looking forward to getting a copy of the book and reading it.
The cover's got to be good.
Oh, absolutely.
It has to drag you in. This is, you like the blues, but Blind Owl Blues, this is a good cover too. This is, like I said, people, Al Wilson lived up the street, and he died in 1970, 42 years ago.
Yeah.